Cult Killer is a brand new 2024 film that was directed by Jon Keeyes and written by Charles Burnley, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this was released in a limited amount of theaters in January. I think January 19th it was. This features Antonio Banderas, and this definitely feels, in its style, like a direct-to-video B movie. So I don't know how wide of a distribution this got. I don't know what its budget was, but it was something that just popped up in my radar. It's described on IMDb as a horror thriller. I can see why they threw the name horror into this, but I certainly wouldn't consider this a horror film. This is definitely much more of a thriller. And it really has that vibe and feel of something like, something that Bruce Willis or Nicolas Cage would do in their side roles, like later in their careers, kind of straight to streaming or generic action movies of that vein. This definitely felt like that throughout. It certainly felt like a film that they put Antonio Banderas in more so for his name. Not that he's not in the movie a ton, because he's in there enough, but this film definitely feels like he's an addition to what was written and how the film, the rest of it, goes forward. And what we have going on here is basically we have this woman who is she's a recovering addict, and the film opens up with Antonio Banderas in a bar, and it's kind of one of those moments where he's just chilling, and then something violent happens, and he shows his skills, kind of thing. It's played really weird though, but just because of the writing and the way everybody's behaving is very strange. But this is where he meets this woman, and then he becomes her sponsor essentially. And while being her sponsor, he trains her into being a badass. She works for the police force. I don't know exactly what her job title is, but what happens is there's a murder, and the police are after this serial killer. Played by another woman. I forget the actress's name, but this actress who plays the killer was in Ouija, as well as Unfriended, the internet movie with the webcam kind of thing. So recognizable face for sure. And she kills somebody, and then she's going around hunting and seemingly randomly murdering numerous people. And as the story unfolds, you realize that this woman was kind of kidnapped and put into some trafficking gig, and there's this family of group that she's targeting specifically, and she does this through the whole film. And this woman who's the addict, who was in recovery or is in recovery, she kind of sort of begins to take her side as well. So she's stuck in this double situation where she's feeling sympathy for this killer, but at the same time has reason to go after her, and starts to get some own personal vendettas with going after this woman specifically because of certain people that she kills as well. This film throws a very big curveball literally like 10 minutes into the film that it's really hard to discuss without spoiling. But something happens that draws the plot forward that I'm sitting there and I'm like, what are you going to do now? Like I said, it's hard to talk about without giving it a lot away, but we'll just say one of the main characters, there's a twist or turn plot-wise involving a specific person that you thought that they were going to be the main focus of the film, but then they automatically become not the main focus of the film and somebody else does. It's kind of one of those situations. And I'm a mixed bag on it. I don't know how I feel about it because, like I said, it takes the film into a pretty strange direction, but the film still carried forward well, and there's moments of this film that I really enjoyed, but there's also a lot of moments in this film that are just ridiculously cheesy. This is a strange one. Like I said, this film feels like a B movie. It's written, to be honest, quite poorly, and a lot of situations just don't seem realistic and are just absolutely ridiculous in the way line delivery is given and the way people act. It's Jamie who's the killer, and Cassie, I think her name is, who plays the addict. I should have said the name so people know who I'm talking about. But Cassie is playing the addict who works for the cops. Jamie is the killer. And they're in a car, and then Jamie throws petrol all over the vehicle and then threatens to like light it on fire if Cassie runs away or something. And then Cassie pulls out a gun, and Jamie's like, don't you forget how petrol works? You pull that trigger, we go up in flames. Cassie's like, yeah, exactly, you'll burn too. And Jamie's just like she doesn't care about dying kind of thing. But again, just a really, really corny delivered scene that really makes you wonder what kind of direction this film was written to be. And like, it's so multi-toned that it's leaves you confused the whole time. And when it comes to this family too, this group of people who basically kidnap girls and force them to be trafficked, essentially, a lot of them are very elderly. Like, a lot of them seem like they're in their 60s or even 70s. And the woman, I again forget the actress's name, but the Scottish actress who played in Texas Chainsaw very recently, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, she's in this film, and she plays a psychotic villain. And although she really does play her role fairly well, it's still odd to see, because just imagine Aunt May from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films and imagine her playing a psychotic villain and a sociopath. And that's kind of the vibe you get with this woman specifically. But a lot of the villains in this film, they just go way over the top, and some of the things are quite hard to believe. Although some of the scenes do get pretty gruesome in like a B movie kind of zany way, it's still sometimes hard to take seriously. And this film also deals with a lot of flashbacks, so sometimes something is about to happen and then the screen will like switch to a flashback and give a scenario where two people are having a conversation, or something happened in the past that relates to the scene, and it'll go on for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then it'll go back to the scene you were just watching and continue with that scene. That happens a little bit too much, and it definitely got a little bit overdone. So I, again, am a mixed bag with those scenarios when it came to the flashbacks and everything. I'm a little bit mixed. I was going to give this film a 2.5. I ended up giving it a 2, especially because of that thing that happened right at the beginning of the film that set this film off in a direction that I wasn't really prepared for or expecting. I would even call it false advertising to a sense. Like, it definitely felt that way. And although I think this film achieved what it was, I would assume, going for, unless everything in this film was completely accidental and it's just a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. It was still fun. Like, it's a fun ride. It's just not perfect, and it certainly is filled with flaws. The choreography is absolutely not good at all, especially when we're so used to, your John Wicks and Reachers and stuff like that. Like, the choreography is just not at par on this film whatsoever. But if you're willing for like a turn your brain off zany ride, it's fine. I will say that The Beekeeper with Jason Statham is far outweighing this film when it comes to quality and when it comes to fun factor. But this one is fine for what it is. Like I said, it has that strong direct-to-video feel. So if you're prepared for that, if you like your later in career Bruce Willis kind of quick action movies, this is along the lines of that. So it was fine. That's Cult Killer, a brand new 2024 film if you want to increase your 2024 film list. And you can definitely do a lot worse, that's for sure. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you'd like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.